All right, I can only hope that the camera is actually pointed at my face right now because something's wrong with my phone and the front camera has like no functionality. Anyways, I have a project that I want to try today. I am experimenting with cyanotyping, so come on an adventure with me. So the first thing that you need is to get some really pretty looking leaves with some very interesting textures. This is what I'm going to be creating my prints with. So, you know, I think that the tomato plant has some pretty looking leaves. That's some interesting texture there. Not so much the mint, that won't lay flat enough. Lemon balm's too big. But I think Creeping Jenny will be an interesting addition. So let's take a little bit of this and a little bit more. It'll grow back. You'll be okay. All right, most of my indoor plants would not be happy with some bits being taken from them, but I think I am going to take one of my purple shamrock oxalis leaves. Sorry, little guy. You're quite an interesting shape there. Don't you guys agree? All right, time to come out the other side. All right, let's go on a hunt. Ivy. Ivy's good. Let's find a little bit that won't hurt it as much. A little bit of this diamond snow will make a really interesting spray texture. Darium, I think, is too thick to get an exposure through the other side, but this bit where it's been eaten apart by a bug, that's a cool texture. So let's just trail this down a bit. There we go. You know what? A little bit of thyme. That's pretty interesting looking. Let's take some of this. Texture. Let's see. Coral bell. Are there any bits of the leaves that are small enough? That's a good one. This one's being eaten alive by a bug too. I'm not happy about that. And you can't get more textured than dying columbine. So let's just take a nice big bit of this. That is very pleasant. I think I need some more of this. I need to be pulling weeds anyways, so up comes the clover. So much clover. Now I have these gorgeous hydrangea, and part of me's tempted to take a couple little flowers. Part of me just wants to let it grow quite happily. I think I'll leave it be. But maybe there's a baby coneflower. Nope, none of my baby coneflowers are quite right. Lettucey things happening. So some of these, you know, it'll only help the other ones grow a bit better to have a little bit of space here. Up you go. Those are cute. Okay, so now I have all of my plants, and I realized I never explained what I'm doing. My neighbors think that I'm super weird talking to my phone out here. I am going to be creating Sunprints. So I've prepared some paper, not this paper, with a sensitizer solution, and I will be arranging an assortment of plants and putting a pane of glass over it, then exposing it to the sun. This is one of the earliest forms of photography, actually, and it was kind of like pioneered by one of the earliest famous female botanists who created an entire book of these sun prints. But basically, anywhere that the UV rays of the sun touch becomes this gorgeous, like bright blue. It's Prussian blue. It's actually created by like an iron oxide. And everywhere that the leaf is on top of remains white. So it's like creating a negative. And you can do some really interesting, super clever stuff with this. So I'm just going to sit here and create my arrangement, and then we will get our sensitized paper out of the dark basement where it's at. I am in the dark basement, aka garage right now, but I wanted to show you the chemicals that we're using. I will describe a little bit more. These are solution A and B, and you mix them together in a 1-to-1 ratio. I'll describe a little bit more of what's happening with the chemical reaction later, but yeah, these are photographers' formulary, and it's not terribly expensive if you make a bunch of these prints. I have my first composition, which, like, I'm realizing this would go much easier with pressed flowers. But I think I'm just going to kind of go for this loopy shape and just see how it turns out. I have my first one's not going to be great, so we're just going to see how this looks. I'm going to come to the furnace room, hello laundry, and get the dried papers out. This tiny room is not ominous at all. I'm working in a room that does have a little bit of UV light coming through, so I'm gonna have to work quickly. It's turned upside down right now, but as soon as I flip it over, it's gonna start very slightly exposing. So I'm gonna work quickly, move this onto here, put the glass pane on top, clamp it down and take it outside to the sun. It's bright yellow if you can see. I really simplified the composition. I don't think it's going to look super brilliant, but again, we're just trying this first one. Let's take it outside. And off we go. So I've clearly done something wrong because it doesn't look blue. It's just kind of like a blotchy gray. Maybe I did it for too long. Maybe the pane of glass that I got from a thrifted picture frame is UV resistant, which would be quite disappointing. But let's see what happens when we do this. Oh goodness, that is so cool. Okay, so just to keep it from exposing more, I'm going to turn this upside down, take it inside, and wash off everything. Okay, on the internet it says it keeps exposing and you have to run it under water, and you can do this like darkroom style where you fill a thing and you have running water and then you're like sloshing it. But you have to do it for a long enough time. Oh, now it turns blue! Oh my gosh! But you have to keep going longer than you'd think with the running water. It has to agitate to remove all the extra, I think it's like iron oxide. Basically, this is creating true Prussian blue, which is that gorgeous blue pigment. Look at that. Oh my gosh. And you can't touch any of the image because it's really like a permanent image, like it's fixing into the fibers of the paper. But your fingerprints are alkaline, and that will interact poorly with the print. And damage it, and you'll start leaving fingerprints. And, oh my gosh, this is so cool! Look at that! Ah! Okay, I'm just gonna keep agitating it for a bit, getting it all the way clean. And then I think I'll hang it to dry before removing the tape because I don't want to pull any of the fibers off. So, this is so cool. So for the next bit, I'm thinking of trying some pressed flowers. And thankfully, I just like regularly press flowers and leaves because they're pretty. Those are actually my roommates, so let's not use those. She wanted the sycamore leaves. But, oh, she pressed a lot. And they're all each individually in a paper towel. Okay, mine are not in paper towels. Let's go find some of mine. Aha! Ooh! Oh my gosh! Yes! This is gonna look so pretty. I didn't actually have as much as I thought in that book. But in my book about the microbiome of the home, I have all sorts of goodies in here. So here's some baby maple leaves from little saplings that sprouted up in my little balcony. And I was pressing these to electroform, but I think we can cyanotype with them first. All right, while we are out here waiting for this print to expose, I wanted to say that I got the chemistry completely wrong earlier. When I was washing the other piece, I said that there was like an iron oxide. That's literally rust. I just mixed up my terminology. So the sensitizing solution that we're using is a mix of potassium ferrocyanide solution and ferric ammonium citrate in like a 1-to-1 ratio. I'm not using the like dangerous potassium dichromate, and for right now I'm not trying anything with the starches or any toning. It's literally just the sensitizing solution. And what this does is it creates a photosensitive, it's like a UV sensitive sensitizer that you brush on the paper, and when it's exposed to light it creates the print. And I definitely overexposed my last print because it continues to oxidize. The iron does indeed oxidize, it just does not become iron oxide, aka rust. What it does is this mix of chemicals becomes Prussian blue, which is ferric ferrocyanide, and it's a pigment that some of you who do make maybe oil painting or that might recognize Prussian blue. So it is definitely supposed to be greenish, And then as you wash it, and over time, it oxidizes in the air, especially when exposed not exposed to sun. That doesn't make sense. When it's exposed to air, it oxidizes, and you can speed up that oxidation by putting it in a bath of hydrogen peroxide. But I probably won't do that. I'll just let it oxidize in the air. Super weird, because when I lift it off, it's blue, not white underneath. Let's see if that changes after it's been cleaned and has a chance to oxidize. As I agitate this, you can see it's starting to turn white. So I guess I just need to sit here and turn the water back on and do this for forever. I'm just so excited as these are drying and you can see all this detail, especially here. I mean, these are literal blueprints and the detail's just phenomenal. I'll let it dry a little bit more before taking off the tape, and then at some point I can spritz the back with some water and iron these papers flat. But there we go. Here's a third one, and you can see that again, the ferns look blue and the larger print is this weird greenish color for the larger plant. So I'm just going to start agitating this and just see what it looks like. So, fun fact, yeah, I think that this watercolor design on the back is going to disappear as I agitate this. I forgot that was there. I wonder if I can just run water over the front of this and then just have this weird two-sided piece of art. This was just a sketch anyways. Yeah, that happened. Here we go. These are my 3 very first cyanotypes. And I'm really excited with how they turned out. I haven't pressed the papers yet, but they're so pretty.